Good morning. How nice to have you here. On behalf of my colleagues at the Atlantic and for our host for the next 2 days, the Boeing Company, I want to welcome you here. I'm from Washington. I don't have a Chicago story. I don't have a Boeing story. The closest I have is an airline story, so will you indulge me and I want to tell you an airline story. About 15 years ago, I was traveling from Houston to Washington Reagan, on Continental Airlines on an evening flight, and it was about 3 or 4 hours late. So we missed the curfew at Reagan Airport and had to fly over to Dulles Airport, where the plane wasn't expected. So about 60 of us ended up at the baggage carousel at midnight, waiting for Continental to find employees to bring the bags in. Went on for over an hour, and there was one man who was very interesting to watch. There are two things about him. One, he was just friendly and garrulous and talking to everyone. And the second thing interesting about him was that he was Antonin Scalia, the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. So I watched him. I didn't meet him, but I watched him. And then the bags came, and about 15 of us didn't have our bags. And so we ended up in the line where you turn in your claim check. And I was one person ahead of Justice Scalia. So I said to him, Justice Scalia, rank should have some privilege here. Why don't you go ahead of me? And he said, no, but let me come up and talk with you. And he leaned over and he whispered these words: if Continental Airlines ever comes before the Supreme Court, they're going to learn to regret this evening. That I don't have a Boeing story is not the same thing as to say I don't have something to say about Boeing. We're here to celebrate their 100th anniversary. They're founded in 1916, and what a good thing that is. This is arguably the world's most admired company. I come from Washington, where our politics and our elections and so forth are not favorably viewed around the world. And here we have a company that 10,000 times a day lands a iconic image of the best of America, the frontier, technology, a sense of progress, a hope in the future, landing that symbol all over the world. It is one of the world's most admired companies at almost $100 billion and 160,000 employees. It is magnificently of scale. It is our finest, it is our largest exporter. And it is also a company of a storied past. Its history is our history of the 20th century. So the B-17s and the B-29s were the war-horse planes of the Second World War. The Saturn rocket of the 60s is a Boeing accomplishment, launching our space programs. The space shuttle in the 1980s. And then just the romance of commercial travel. Do you remember the old black and white photos of the Boeing Clipper plane? It's a seaplane that could land in the capitals all over Southeast Asia and across the Atlantic. Men wore suits, women wore gloves. There was a dressing room, a bridal suite, a dining room on the old Clipper plane. 747, 50,000 Boeing employees put together what is the world's greatest airplane now. And then the Dreamliner, which is 50% technology, 100% romance. It's a very good thing that this is an American company, and it's a very happy thing to be able to celebrate their 100th birthday. Happy birthday, Boeing. So what I really am is transition to the program itself. Let me introduce to you an Atlantic contributor, Joey Chen, who's going to interview the Deputy Administrator of NASA, Dave von Neumann. Welcome.